Private living, 18 July 2023. We are not issuing with the Brazil. Did you took a note of my music list too? We will move from the point we stopped, considering that yesterday we had this issue, the Brazil and USA, the failure collinear on me reply from my legal rights under constitutional conformance. We will use this board a lot, and I will remake probably. We could get that the criminal activity got the interaction in a global area by the reduced difference between criminal groups until have no difference, and they are all equally associated with the failure on regular architecture. And since they got the power misused as a state and an institution, public, corporate, domestic, or international, they operated everything and all things to have the consolidation as this power, considering that they felt threatened, as we told that there are no billion-dollar business as criminal activity higher than a trillion charge as legal right under constitutional conformance, so they started to operate spreading the credit all around, having they strike against this research applied back, and it is under constitutional conformance, and evidenced by this how the misuse of power change things. In general, they put mankind in a constant up and down, according with their own interest, and having this as lack of enough elements to do the accuracy need, and having the management of crisis by the logical gaps observed on government, corporative area, and states, factor the COVID-19 for instance, and violating things until civil rights, rights of mankind in the consumer area, especially who took the vaccine. We can observe here that this pattern is very relevant and will be used today as a principle of counting, considering the interaction of different areas having the most promiscuous zone. The most promiscuous zone is kind of the main interest in free zones, doing things without the regulatory premise, standard and accredited, since against them, if create new regulatory premises by the interest, as you could observe in the first board, which is the misuse of state and institutional power, they will believe at the regulatory premises. And as I told you, they started to spread the credit all around, having difficult moments to present things orthodox according with the economic theory. So they violated the economic premises, which is the very first one, and the main essential premise is rational argument of economy. We have limited resources. We must use with our rational thoughts. But animals can do this properly, and criminals are below the animals. They just can't do this. So we are living an economic crisis by the administration of all interests in global scale by animals, I mean criminals. So the supply and demand, of course, that we have problems, and we solved this yesterday, I mean in the few hours before, by the investment saving and the liquidity money as criminal economic and economic models. The e-commerce of pirates must be reported by the companies that provide the structure to do this operation. It's based on piracy. Piracy is illegal. In all areas, it's a legal operation. If a list storage on bank, we put them in the middle, and this criminal activity got down. They achieved this point by the no difference between different interests, since they two both got the same purpose as obtain always advantage. They two both will always act like this. Considering the cowardice and the patterns we have, the two both will be collinear at the purpose to hit things against their interests. Can be my space, my right, my research, and I will put myself here, rearranging the function and have the model we need to work now. We requested to the United States that since we are having the talk at least since 2014, in this moment I will observe that Brazil denied my rights, my citizenship, my nationality, my expression as individual, totally suppressed, and I had to complain, for instance, with the United States, and I request to give me at least the status as American citizen in a period that I must do the operation as international credit. I have a second nationality as Portuguese European, and then we will check that if I'm here and my citizenship got, for instance, hit by Brazil criminal scam, hit by USA criminal scam, hit by peers of Brazil, for instance, Europe, criminal purpose associated, peers of United States, for instance, Asia, criminal purpose as associated. Indeed, they all, and we put Africa or whatever, are linked with the criminal purpose against my citizenship, that is on Brazil geographic space, which has a constitution with a guarantee that there are no hypotheses to violate my data and my private living privacy, and I can work without any kind of condition freely. All this hit by America, all Americas, Asia, Europe, in Brazil. Can you understand the International Criminal Court, the prosecution, and the IOM? Why the integration and interaction as state power and institutional power hurt the citizenship, the individual basic rights, until diffuse rights as consumed, threatening by this the mankind? Fact proved. Then we will observe that the model we will need, which was this model, and I told that will be very helpful as a principle of counting, was the premise as criminal organization in global scale unveil the domain of regular area as the image inside the criminal activity, the image of as criminal activity got inside the institution, dressing a suite, be an investor, or even a judge, a minister of the Supreme Court, sponsoring the piracy and all crimes, the white-collar crime, real estate market frauds, frauds against global companies, and others. They kind of are the index as criminal purpose of institution. We could prove this too. We will observe that if I have, for instance, 33 billions in account on Póvoa de Varzim, which is a city in Portugal, I will observe that if I decide to make a purchase or buy something at their commerce website, American companies, and America is proved in the way I proved, the entire global system linked with the criminal activity, I will pay no tax at all in any system, because I can't be forced to support the criminal activity. It's an absurd. Right World Trade Organization, International Labor Organization, United Nations Office as Drugs and Crimes, the International Criminal Court, one more time, and now judicial powers. But I will observe that I will request and claim this as a right, since I'm not linked with the criminal activity that in general has a source or a root that will spread the influence, and the influence will spread more and more, and kind of will be in a very specific moment crossing the areas as criminal purpose. And we could observe that if they lost the difference, they are all equals as public corruption and real criminals. But I will observe that by equity, a picture here or a situation will claim that she wouldn't can't be punished by tax evasion and tax frauds because it's not their obligation to support a criminal system, since you are not leading a criminal activity, a criminal organization, not having a lot of crimes linked on you. You probably will deserve, for instance, let's suppose, be acquitted by the tax evasion. But if we have white collar crime, real estate fraud, murder, criminal organization, way of corruption, fraud, and kind of you allow the regression of all things here, because as a criminal, in general, they will consider themselves untouchable, especially at the high level of power. And having this idea that they can put the mankind in a constant or up and down, and suppress the right, putting things very negative considering the economy, and sometimes create big bubbles of illusion and take advantage of this all the time. But it's not like this. You had a big euphoria, I would say, for instance, here, that will not be convicted by the tax fraud. But since we unveiled a lot of things and all other criminals had this speech that by equity we are not gonna be convicted also, but you are having the current time, and now we are highlighting this to show that you accept the rules of the judgment. The D20 saying that since I must convict only one, so if I have the equity of only one, we will be applied to them all. That's right, my friend. You all are acquitted by the tax fraud. So you assume that the tax police made by the government and all states are not functional. So the idea as global taxation is a bullshit at the OECD. I told that you use as derogatory from Portugal, including the NATO review, the America, and the status I request and the protection I need. So it means that, and then you all are in solidarity now by this speech that by equity you all must be equals at this situation, but has so many other crimes that will kind of give the root cause in each one of distribution, as had 1 up to 20 inside the G20. And then our matrix that has 1 up to 197 now is debugged up to 20. Simple to get. The trace we had as division is the corruption, which is the angle stone to set all things, including your self-incrimination to achieve the objective advantage. But this advantage, as you told, the liquidity trap, we put you observing this advantage here is the period that you consider the tax immunity and exponential risk proved from your own behavior as criminal, because you all are below the animal. I told you, don't like you, and I will hound, chase, dismantle this scam as first scam. Requested the prison of all with all consequences affordable. There are no prerogative or institutional prerogative or guarantee to keep crimes. No one is forced to support the criminal activity by tax payment as declared by the criminals doing the tax police in global scale. All consequences equally as procedural from all judicial courts and power around the globe, especially ethical consequence from the International Criminal Court, all required information through the International Police, OECD, NATO, oversight in the Security Forum, Brazil, USA, with both corrupted. And as I told, you can be collinear on me and I will reply back, but I will do this as my right, as compensation under constitutional conformance. Charge 38 trillion against institution currently segmented as a big piece of the matrix considering all nation, plus the groups that has no nation as kind of 198 as immigrant or whatever, 199 as transnational organized crime, which is collinear that crap that you observe, and the Constitutional Committee suggested and requested and operated started from Europe, considering the Germany, Italy, and we are kind of unfortunate having one more time that will be 3 votes in a neutral area by the special types of criminality and criminals we have, at least one bombed by the democratic process between the criminals on it, and it suggested a better guarantee as a police. It's observing the condition as judgment on Italy, you have the right to be the better law, the law properly applied since you have the law. You don't have the law in a neutral area's jurisdiction as transnational organized crime and big criminals, but you probably will have the police since the police could be applied or considered or deserved. It's a police. See? All consequences affordable must be imposed against each one of those criminals. Have a great